Hi, it's Lindsay again with Mamammilla Lactation. In this video, we're going to talk about troubleshooting a couple issues that can arise in the first couple days of life. Typically before that lactogenesis 2 happens, when your milk goes from that thick honey-like colostrum phase to that thinner, more mature milk state. So I'm just going to kind of talk to you maybe a little bit of review from the first two videos when we're talking a little bit about the first day of life for the kiddo and what you might expect. So again, placenta comes out, baby comes out. If all's going well, baby comes right to your chest, hangs out there until that first feed. You're monitoring how it feels, making sure that if it pinches at any point, you take baby up off of your nipple by again putting your finger on the side of baby's mouth, put your finger on your nipple, and guide it out toward you. An important thing to note that sometimes babies get on and are totally comfortable, and then as they kind of fall asleep, sometimes they'll like intermittently fall asleep and like lean back, and then they'll attach to wherever they're at. And so sometimes like 15 minutes through the feed, you're like, oh geez, yay, ouch. Then go get your nipple, go save it. Take it out of the baby's mouth. A couple things in that first day of life. So again, you've got that thick honey-like colostrum. And so it's hard to pull. And once, like I said in that hand expression video, it takes 30 to 45 seconds for anything to show up. That's a lot of work for them to do without any nutritional intake, okay? So one thing to note too is you can hand express before every feed, and you're saving them 30 to 45 minutes of caloric output, and just like giving them a kind of an easy mouthful, like a bolus of milk as soon as they attach. So really kind thing to do is to hand express before every feed. So we're just gonna run through it again. So you're gonna thumb above your areola, fingertips below, press back, compress, let go. Press back, compress, let go. So press, compress, release, press, compress, release, press, compress, release, hang out there until it shows up. Like, oh, it's there. And then you're gonna choose the position based on what your kiddo is doing. So one thing that happens in our world is we set our moms up for mom guilt. That's the one thing that no one warned us about, or me at least personally, is how every decision that I made as a mother was like seeping with guilt one way or the other. So oftentimes kiddos come out with a breast preference. So a lot of times, a lot of my visits are my baby's a rock star on the left, and they won't feed on the right. And so there's actually this really easy trick that I think solves about 80% of my problems as a lactation consultant. It's something called positional torticollis. And the reason I actually gave that guilt spiel was your most important reading is your baby. You can read anything you want on the internet. It'll guide you one way or the other. You can find any answer you want on the internet. So look for evidence-based answers is my one recommendation, because emotional answers are lovely for storytelling, but really hard to make decisions off of. So look for peer-reviewed, evidence-based resources. But the most important person to read is this book, site, blog, whatever you're looking at for information. This person is going to be your information, your most valuable source, okay? So if you can't figure out what position baby should be feeding in, lay the baby down. And oftentimes you'll see babies like rooting really hard one way and like kind of the other way. So rooting real hard. They'll have a left shoulder preference. So what happens is something called positional torticollis. So kids settle into the pelvic girdle the last couple weeks of pregnancy, turned one way or the other. And then when they're ready to deliver, they kind of straighten out to get down through that vaginal canal, that birth canal. But for weeks, they're here. And so I challenge you to like look one way for like 10 minutes and then try and turn. And it's like, oh, that's sore. Imagine doing that for weeks. So kids actually come out sore, not like their musculoskeletal system has issues permanently. No, most of them don't. But all kids have something called positional torticollis, where they have a preference of where they turn. So lay your kid down and watch what they tell you. So if they have, say, like a right leaning preference, they'll probably do great. If you think about where they'd have to turn, they'll probably do great in cross cradle on the left. Does that make sense? And again, that right, so like if baby wants to turn to their right shoulder, they'll probably do great in cross cradle on the left. And then if you think about them needing to turn right, if you tried cross cradle here, they'd be turning away from your nipple. Moms are like, they just won't eat. So cross cradle, again, that L hand, butt in the armpit, or excuse me, armpit, butt in the elbow pit, ear, shoulder, hip in alignment, belly to belly with you, height of your rib cage. If they do great with that right lean on your cross cradle on your left, just swivel them over. They'll probably do great in football on the right. So whichever direction your kid is preferring, find which breast they do great on in which position, and then figure out kind of the opposite of that position. Does that make sense? So a lot of moms love the cradle hold, which is, you know, all of our media shows us this, right? This is what we see. The only media allowed breastfeeding is this position, which is the most comfortable position, right? For moms, you don't have to use any muscles, right? You just kind of skeletally hold them. This is what you'll graduate to by like the first week. Honestly, like it typically goes very quickly. But to get them on initially, it's really important to get them deep enough on. So for cross cradle, you can again do that nipple to upper lip, wait, baby shark, wait for them to offer you a big wide gape and then bring baby up and on. You can go to that cradle hold just like we previously talked about. It's hard to do that obviously with a football hold, but you can kind of prop up pillows. Do everything in your power to like make it so you don't have to use your muscles for breastfeeding. Moms get really sore. A lot of the issues that I see in clinic are like back pain and neck pain and wrist actually pain because we like are so stoked babies on that we flex for 20 minutes every 2 hours. It's very hard to do that. So whatever you do, kind of bolster yourself up to where you have support around you, whether it's a pillow or pillows, multiple pillows, whatever your style, and get to where you can kind of just comfortably, like the only musculature again is bringing baby on with your lever arm, your forearm, and then like get into a totally relaxed position because it's a ton of strain emotionally, so it doesn't need to be a strain physically if we can help it at all. Okay, so again, hand expression, attach baby. If they're having an easier time on one side versus the other, kind of think about it based on where they turn. So that positional torticollis again. So that solves some of our problems. And then if your milk transitions, typically your breasts themselves will get sore. So hopefully optimally, if we're like really diligent about taking baby off at pinches, your nipples won't be sore. It's kind of shocking to think that like someone sucking on your nipples for every, you know, for 20, 30 minutes every hour and a half, 3 hours won't make you sore. But honestly, I promise your breast milk will heal those nipples. And so optimally, you should not hurt at all on your nipples. Okay. So if you have tried all of these things that you're seeing, try to see an in-person lactation consultant to kind of help with attachment, because breastfeeding should not hurt. Okay. There might be something going on anatomically that we'll need to adjust. But if you've tried all of the different position adjustments and it's still hurting persistently, then I highly recommend you go see someone in person. Okay. So this is all about troubleshooting for very kind of easily attainable problems. Then we can solve them kind of easily. There's a host of problems that make it a lot more complex, which is when you would need an in-person lactation consultant. So again, you are exactly who your baby needs. I believe in you so much. All my best to you, and I hope you enjoy these videos.